Hello and welcome back to Code with Clark. So last time we have left our project in this part. We have created a top bar successfully. We added some hovering effects and we spoke a little bit about the logic we want to achieve behind this top bar. So the only thing I changed in the project in my pages, in my home page, which is the index file, I have got rid of that meta tag for the moment and changed my title to e-commerce application column homepage. And this link or the image that's displaying next to my title, I changed it to my own logo like right here by changing the href for it. So beside that, nothing has changed. So we can go back to our top bar and finish working on the logic. So if I go to the components and go to the top bar, if you didn't watch this video with us, you can go back to the playlist, go to the channel, go to the playlists, and you're gonna find the first Serie01, and just go ahead and watch the series from the start. So if you remember, we have spoken about all the pages or the elements or the returns should return one element and all the code should be wrapped inside of it. So I want to add some other stuff, but not as a child to the top bar container. So what I have to do first in my top bar is I want to add another parent that's going to wrap my code. I'm going to use, just for the sake of it, just an empty fragment. It's going to contain nothing, no tag inside of it. It's just an empty fragment. And beneath my top bar container, I want to create a overlay, or let me create first a div. Okay, and I want to call inside that div, I want to have written main menu. Save that, check my page, you can see that it's displaying right here, which is fine for now. Before doing that stuff and go ahead with code in mind main menu, I want to first create a state, and we're going to be using the use state hook, which is going to give us the ability to create a state that we're going to call, in this, just to be descriptive, should menu be open. And it gives us the ability to write a function as a second parameter in this array, which is a function that said should menu be open. In the use state, the real benefit of it is you don't need to write a class to have a hook. You can still write a functional component, write this one, and still have a state that you can control. So I'm going to use this use state that comes from React, and you can see that imported it for me, and it's a named import. So if you do that manually, just be sure to include this use state inside some brackets. And in the use state function, I'm going to give that, gives us the ability also to give this constant a default value that it starts with. And should the menu be open when my page just load? No, it shouldn't. So I'm going to give that a false. So when it's false, the should menu be open is false. That means it's not displaying. Okay. So I've created these states, and this is a function that I can change this value with it. So in this div that I've created called main menu, I'm going to give it a class name of menu st for menu styles dot main menu. Okay, and I'm gonna, no, I didn't create that file yet, but I'll still import it. Menu, it's the same with tbst in the last video. Menu st from where? From styles. And in the styles, I want to have a file called menu.st.module.css. I save in here, go to the styles, create a new file, and like we said, menu.st.module.css. File is created. Split my window right here. I'm going to open my file in it. It's up to you to work however you like. This is how I like to work. Actually, I opened the top bar styles. I'll open this new file that I have created right there. It's just to keep everything clean. You know, we could have wrote the same class names in the same file, but I'll just better write it in a independent file for itself. As this main menu, for now we have this just this placeholder, but it's going to contain a lot of stuff. For example, some subcomponents we be creating, like a single menu item or expandable menu item, stuff like this that we're going to reach. For now, don't worry about it. Let's just get this class and style it right here in this file. In that class, the main menu class, I want to give it a background color just to be able to see it of a blue, for example. And I want it to get the height of 100 VH. And I want it to have a width of 25% of the page or view width. And let's just give it a small padding for the sake of a little bit to see what's happening right there. And the color of the text inside of it to white. You don't have to copy everything I'm writing right now just to see that placeholder and align it to the center. If I save that and check my page right here, you can see that I have a menu, or the menu I have created, and you can see that it's starting beneath my top page. If you like that behavior, that's up to you. For me, I want to fix this main menu position. I want to fix it and fix it where? To a top. It's going to always be a top of 0. That's mean beginning of the top of my page and from the left of my screen. And you can see it in here. If you want that menu from the other side, which we're gonna do to the cart menu, we can change that to the right of 0, and it's gonna start from here, from the 0, and take 25%. For now, I'm gonna leave that as the left. Okay, hopefully that was understood what we did right there. And that's representing our main menu. For now, you can see, or before doing that, let's talk about this state we have created right here. So when my function TopBar functional component is going to be called, for example, in this case, in my home page, it's going to load, it's going to return this stuff, it's going to reach the invocation for the TopBar, and it's going to go grab it. When it reaches the functional components, it's going to instantiate this state, it's going to create it, and it's going to return this stuff. Okay. For now, in this class name, let's change to main menu active. Okay. Let's change it also in the file, styles file active, and create another class name called main menu inactive. And in there, let's just literally, for now, we'll do later some filtering and erasing the stuff we don't need. For now, let's just copy all the styles that is inside that first class. And we'll change the left to minus 100%. That means just hide it from our screen with minus 100%, and we'll save. And if I do in here change that to the inactive, just to be able to see how it's going to behave, it's not appearing on my page right here, which is what we want to achieve. Okay. But instead, we want to write an if statement in here, in our class name, inside of it, inside the brackets. We're going to do should menu be open, get this constant right here, and you can see that when I over it, it's a boolean because we have used the default of state, which is a false state. That means this first run, when it's going to first load, this is going to be false. And we're checking if it's true. By just typing the name of a boolean in an if statement, you're checking if it's true. If you do a not or exclamation mark, that means if it's false. Okay, so let's just start with a false, as it is the default state. So if should menu is false, by writing exclamation mark should menu be open, or whatever the name of the constant you created. And if it is false, do a question mark. That means check if that should menu be open is false. When it is false, I want to have as a class name menu st dot main menu inactive, because it's false. Okay. And if I do a column, that means if else menu st dot main menu, but this time active. So we have wrote this statement right here, if statement in the class name equals to brackets, and if statement is inside of it, that means If this value is false and we check it by a question mark, do this stuff. Give this class name to my div, which is the inactive. And if it's true, or if else, use the main menu active. So now if I save this, we can see that nothing changes. But if I go and expand my TopBar container in my left section, the first icon, which is the menu, I'm going to give it on the image or on the div, that's up to you. I'm going to keep it in the image. I'm going to give it on click event, and it's going to be equal to some brackets, and let's write an arrow function inside. And in that arrow function, what we want to do is use now that function right here that we said that can change our constant or our state. So let's do set should menu be open as it is specified right here, and open some parentheses right there and give it some parameters, or the value that's it's going to change to, or the state that it's going to use now. So let's do an exclamation mark, which means the opposite of should menu be open, of the constant itself. So when we click on our menu, okay, this function is going to run, and it's going to change this constant to which value? To the opposite of the value that it contains, with the exclamation mark. That means if it's false, we'll change it to true when we click, and when we click and it is true, we change it to false, just the opposite of what it contains. Now if I save, and if you remember, this constant is also controlling my class names in here. So if I save all that, and now I click on my menu, you can see that my main menu pops up right here. Okay. How we can close it, and let's just go be neat for now. Let's do the same first solution. Create a button and give it an on click event. Okay. And literally, let's just copy the same on click. It's going to be the same as that on click. We have a state that is a Boolean, so it takes only two values, false or true. So this on click event is going to always set it to the opposite of what it contains. So that's going to work also on our button. If I close my button and just type inside of it close menu, for example, you can have an icon or a button, that's up to you. We'll later do some styling and making it look better. Now if I close on my menu, you can see that I can open my menu and close it. That is the first achievement. The second one is I don't want to interact with anything right here. For example, let's say I click on the cart, it's going to open, click on the register, open as well. That's a problem. It's a mess. It's going to be a mess right here. So we don't want to touch anything, or we want to, when we click on anything in the side of the screen outside of our main menu, we want to close the menu as well. Okay, how we can achieve that? Let's have beneath that div that we have created earlier, which is the main menu, let's create another div. Okay, and in the class name, I'm going to copy the same class name I gave to the other div and paste it in this div. Close the tag. I'll keep it empty for now, but in the main menu inactive, I'll change it to overlay inactive. And to the main menu active, I'll change it to overlay active. So that means when my menu is false, just it's not open, that means it's not open. Or let's just call it as it is named. When should menu be open is false, the overlay is inactive. That means you can interact with everything in my page. But when the should menu be open is true, that means we have an overlay of active, and we're going to hide the stuff in the other end of the screen, so we can't interact with it. So in my styles file again, I'm going to go ahead and target that first class we have created, which is overlay inactive. Overlay inactive. And actually, let me style first the overlay active, so you know what we want to achieve. Overlay active. Inside of it, I'm going to also give it a position of fixed. For now, I'll give it a background color just to be able to see it of black. And it's going to start also from a top of 0. And it's going to take literally the whole page width 100% and a height of 100%. Okay. Or let's do view it and the height or view height. And save that. And let's check it out. So what we did wrong, the top of 0 fixed, okay, and background of black, okay. So I close the menu and it's not working. A width of 100 view width. Let's see what we did wrong in here. Overlay active. Okay. And overlay inactive. Let's literally have the same stuff in here. Control C, Control V. And when it's inactive, let's just change the height to 0 VH. And it's not, we didn't save our TopBar file, so we saved that, and you can see that it's overtaken all our screen. If I reload the page, it's not there. If I click on the menu, the overlay, it's taking the whole screen, which is not what we need. So I'll go back to my menu, main menu active, and give it a Z index of, for example, 5. And just be sure to put the overlay right under it by typing a smaller value. I save, and you can see that my main menu is going to always show on top of the overlay, and that overlay is now stopping me from interacting with the page. I know it is black, so when it's active, I want to change it to a transparent, fully transparent. That's just a matter of personal preference. So you can see that I cannot at all click on my other icons or hover. You can see no hovering effect, nothing. And that is the behavior that we needed. Hopefully that was understood so far. So now let's fix some stuff we have, some little problems we have. Let's see them first. You can see that when I click on my menu literally snaps on place. When I close, it snaps again. Before doing that, let's go back. Let's copy, if you remember, that on-click event. Control C, this overlay, let's give it that same on-click event. Format the document to have some good indentations right there, and I save. And now I have the ability to close the menu from the button itself and from anywhere from this end of the screen by clicking anywhere, as I gave it that on-click as well. There is something right there, it's just transparent, and that's why you don't see it. You can have this, if it's just a personal preference, you can obscure the page up to your needs. We're going to use this effect when we create our register form and our language form, as we want it to be in the middle, and we probably want to obscure the page behind it. For now, my main menu, I'm going to keep that stuff as transparent and save. And let's solve this problem of snapping in place, okay? So this main menu active, I can fix that by literally just saying transition of, let's just say 500 millisecond, half a second, which is too much, but still just to be able to see it, and ease in and out of it. And I copy the same line of code and give it also to the when it's inactive. So if I save that, I go back, and you can see that I have a sliding effect now when I open and when I close. And the value right there, you can change. You can see, if you don't see it, I'm going to make it 2 seconds, just so you be able to see that a transition is in fact happening. And I'm going to explain why it's happening. So these two class names, when my div is going to change from this class name to a class name, what's changing? You can see that the only value that is changing between those two class names is the left value. So it's goes to be hidden from the screen with a -100%, and it goes to start from the 0 from the left of the screen, which is 0, and take 25%. You see? And the same from here, it transition. When we write transition, that means just transition from whatever the value has changed. So it sees that we were in -100% and we want to be on 0%, and it just does that in 2 seconds. So you don't want to have a big value right there. I'm going to keep it as a 500. You don't want to have a high value because you don't want to give to the users the impressions that your website is slow. I know it creates a cool effect, but sometimes just be satisfied with a small amount of transitions such as this one right here that we have created. Hopefully whatever all that we have created so far was understandable. And right now I can jump back. If I collapse these 2 divs, now my TopBar container, now I can create other states. For example, should cart be open, and also a function for it set should cart be open. And hopefully the principle, if you understood the first part, you probably can create the other ones alone, and it should be no problem for you. Also, I want it to be state of false, and I'll create the other ones right here. Should language be open, and set should language be open. You don't have to write such long names. It's just to be descriptive with it. Also a state of false. So I don't want to show none of them when we just load our page. So I'm going to give them all a state of false to start with. And we'll talk later about a little problem as using this approach. So should register be open or be shown, or it's up to you. You can use a single letter in here as long as you know what it does. Set should register be open, and also I want to use a state of false. Okay, I'll save that, and now I can go ahead in my other icons and target that's valid. This language icon, I'll give it an on click. Can literally do a little bit of cheating and copy this on click event, paste it right there, set should language be open, and to should language be open, not should language be open. Get that same on click in my right section right here, my register, and this one should be set should register be open, and should register be open right here. And then the last one, which is the cart, we want to have also an on click event with respectively the state that handles it, which is the set should cart and should cart be open. If I save all that, now I can collapse all my sections back up, and okay, I can handle those states from the on-click events of my icons right here. Hopefully the first one was understood. For now, let's copy the same div, the second div that is the menu, or represent the main menu. And instead of here, I'm going to type in, let's check now for should the cart be open. And let's say cart menu. And on the click in the button, we're going to set should cart be open, not should cart be open. Okay. Close, we can add here just to specify that we are in the cart. And in this main menu active, I want to change that to cart menu active or inactive, and to cart menu active. So it's the same process as the first one. Now I'll go to my styles, and I'm gonna copy literally the same classes as the main menu and paste them. And instead of main menu active or main menu inactive, it's gonna be cart menu inactive, and in main menu active, it's gonna be cart menu active. And all I'm gonna change is from the left of 0 to the right of 0, and here to the right as well. That's all I changed. I'll change background color to a green. Change that in the main menu as well, just for a better look of the page. And if I save everything right now and go back to my page and I click on my cart menu, you can see that I have the same effect. You can see that with the menu overlay, I cannot click on anything. But if I open the cart, you can see that I can still click on other stuff. See? So let's fix that by giving a additional overlay, but this time, this is the overlay for the first one. But this time it's gonna be for let's copy paste it. And on the on click, it's gonna be for our cart. So set should cart be open to not should cart be open. And the class name should check if should cart be open. And literally we're gonna change nothing in the class names. We're gonna use the same ones. Only this time we're gonna be checking for the cart state instead of the menu state. And if I save that and then I open my cart, now I cannot. If I click, you see that my cart being closed. Now if I click, so everything is working correctly in my cart and in my main menu. So we have here 2 overlays. We can later do some refactoring. For now, as long as you understand what we're doing, that's fine. So we have created, beneath the TopBar container, for now, we have created a main menu, or what represents a main menu and what represents a cart menu, and 2 overlays, one for each of them. And let's just go ahead and finish with the other one. Let's create this time. Let's start with the overlay this time. Control C and Control V. I created another overlay. This time I want to be checking or changing the value of the language. Just go ahead and do the same, follow the same process. Now I'll check for the language. Okay. And if I save, click on the language and it is working. You can see I cannot hover until I click, so it's closed. I can change that by just for the moment changing the overlay to like half transparency, just so you'll be able to see that it's working. That's the inactive one. Overlay active and increase the color a little bit. You can see that it's working. If I click, the overlay is on and it's off. Let's create another overlay. And you guessed it, this time it's for the last thing we should handle. It's for the register. And let's just go ahead and change those values with the register one. It should be fairly easy for now to follow, as it is following the same principle. So now I should be clicking in here and it's working as well. So all my elements or the click events are working. Now I need to handle the register menu. Let's call it register menu and language menu. Let me go fix that. So I'm gonna click or copy the same menu or cart menu, it doesn't matter. I'll change this to language just to be able to see what I'm working on. I don't need no close for now, and I'll show you why. Okay, and it's going to be checking this time for should the language be open. Okay, and in here it's going to say in the classes also change them to a specific class of language menu inactive and language menu active. Okay, so we have created that div. If I save, and you can see that it's been shown right there. So let's specify those classes. So when it's active, again, let's copy same ones we have. I can take this last two right here and copy him of the cart menu active and inactive. Instead of the cart menu, now it's going to be Control V. It's going to be the language menu inactive and the language menu active. I save the file and the styling file and the file we're working on, the TopBar file. And you can see that my language shows up because we copied the cart one. We need to create one of ours. So we'll leave the background color, we'll leave position fixed, but for the top, I'm going to change it to 30 VH. And from the right, I'm going to change it to 20 VH. Okay. The height, I'm going to change it to nothing. Or actually, just to be able to see it for now, I'll change it to 50 VH, but later I'll change the height. Don't worry about it right now, just to be able to see it properly. And width, I'll change it to, so I want it to be centered, so I took right. I can even specify it right, 20 VH, and from the left, 20 VH. From the top, 30 VH, and from the bottom, 30 VH. That means we left 30 plus 30 is 60. We left 40 VH for the height. You can take the height off now. And from the left, right, from the left and right, 20, 20. That means 40. We left 60 for the width. So I can take off that and see if it's going to show up. And it is right here. Why is it doing that behavior? Is because we have a transition right there. So we can keep that transition if it's up to you, but we'll have to top off. Actually, let's just get rid of that transition. We don't really need it for the menu. So you can see that if I click on this green part, nothing changes, but if I click behind it on the obscure part, we close our overlay. We'll keep it at this for now. We'll come back to style everything later and create this itself. This is just placeholders for now. What's inside those divs are just like literally just text, and we'll be changing that to suit our own preferences and desires. Let's copy a same again div and paste it right here. And now, you guessed, we'll be checking for the register. And again, create some new class names, register menu inactive and register menu active. Hopefully everything was understandable, as you probably by now understand everything that we are doing. Register, and if I save in here and go ahead and do that same process, and I'll copy the same one I created for the language, and instead I'll change again the naming of the classes. See, and Control V right here. Now if I save both files and I go check and I click on my register, it's working properly as well. So I'll do some styling later for all this stuff. I really hope that you understood the approach that we followed right now. But let me show you a little problem that we can encounter. So the states and stuff are handled from our top bar. Okay. If I go back to my index, raised something. Something is wrong with my styles. I can see that I have a problem right here. So I'll go ahead and fix that before continuing. Property value expected at line 86. 86. Oh. Why is it not there? Top of what? Just keep it at 30. Actually, 0. And height to. Nah. I'll keep it right there. Doesn't matter as it goes from the right of the screen. All right. Oh, that doesn't matter for now. Save. And I have another problem. Which line now? Line 111, because I copied that. Of course, it's gonna do that. If I save now, I have the styles file contain no problems. And hopefully, like I said, everything was understandable as we try to take the simplest approach. But let's showcase a little problem we have. I'm gonna literally add a p tag and just scramble on my keyboard some characters right there. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna paste it a bunch of times. Save that, and you can see that my page here is scrollable right now. We have, like we said, a scrollable page right now. So let's see what's the problem. So if I click now on my menu, you can see that my menu opens up, but I still can, even if I hover on top of my menu, you can see if I scroll the wheel of my mouse that I'm able to scroll the page. I do not want that behavior. I want to stop the scrolling when the menu is open or any of the functionalities we have created is open. So we can fix that solution. One of the solutions to this problem is in the home page itself, create a state. We'll call this one should we scroll? Or let's just, to be descriptive, call it, are we able to scroll? And a function, of course, to set it up. Set, are we able to scroll? And that's going to use a state of true. That means it's going to start our page. When our page is going to be called or routed to, this constant is going to be instantiated, and as a default value is going to be true. That means, are we able to scroll? That means yes, it's true. So in this div right here, I'm going to create a class name and give it some brackets, and inside those brackets I'm going to write, maybe we'll have a file for some utilities we need in many of our pages. So we'll create a utilities, and or let's just call it capital utils dot stop scrolling. Before we do that, first after the bracket, I'm gonna check, are we able to scroll? Check it up, the question mark in if statement. Okay, if are we able to scroll is true, or let's check it if it's false. That means when we can't scroll anymore, then we'll stop scrolling as a class name, and then if else, undefined. We don't need to have any class names when this is set to true. Okay, so if I save, you can see that nothing changes. Even if I open the menu, nothing changes, because we need to be able to change this state programmatically, so we can send that as a props to the top bar. We can in the top bar have an attribute of, say, for example, we can call it whatever we want to call it, and say, actually, we just want to send the function to set it up. So let's say set scrolling behavior is equal to brackets. Inside those brackets, pass the function of our state, which is this one, set are we able to scroll. So we send that as a prop, and this name, we copy that name, we go to our top bar. Inside our top bar, we destructure that, put in some brackets there as a parameter, and Control V. So now we can access that function inside of the top bar itself. So inside of the top bar, in here, we'll use another of the React hooks, which is the use effect. And I'm gonna get the use effect snippet. You probably have that if you also got that plugin we have spoken about, which is this one, the E7 plus React Redux, React native snippets. If you have that, you'll be able to get this snippet fast without writing it. So I'm gonna get everything inside this use effect and this one. So this use effect is gonna run anytime whatever I state in here is re-rendered or changed. In simple words, that means if any of my state changes, if I leave it empty, that means if anything on the whole document changes. For now, I'm going to create a use effect for each of those states. That's not the best approach, but that shouldn't be any problem whatsoever. So first, in the first use effect, we want to be checking the should menu be open, which is this first state. And when it changes, we want to use the effect inside of here, which is we want to set scrolling behavior to true. Actually, to false, because it is actually true. If you remember, it is true. And we want it to be false to be able to trigger this class name that's going to help us stop scrolling the page. So if I go back in here, actually, instead of that, let me check if should menu be open, and that's checking if it's true. Then I want to set whatever that is there, and else I want to do that of setting that same scrolling behavior, but this time it's to true. Let me get rid of that. What happened? If statement right there, and else, and something that I made a mistake somewhere here. Yeah, that wasn't supposed to be there. So now, actually, it is supposed to be there. This is what was the problem. We erased that arrow function opening tag or opening bracket. So now I can recheck if should menu be open. If it is true, then do that. Else, do this. So if it is true, we want to be changing the scrolling behavior to false. else we want to change that to true, back to true. Okay, and I'm going to copy literally this same use effect, Control C, and paste it another 3 times. Each one of them, I'll change just the value that we're checking to what we want to check. First was the menu, second will be the language, and again, should language be open. Third one is should register be open. And last one is should cart be open. Should cart be open. If I save this, okay. Right now, hopefully all the use effects are good. Hopefully understood what we're trying to achieve. And now I can go back to save all this and go back to my index or homepage. And now in this class name that we have created, I'm going to go back and create this utils dot stop scrolling, utils.module.css, and I'm going to import it. Import utils from styles, and it's going to be a file called utils.module.css. Okay, and split my window again, and in that other window I'll open my styling file, and you can see that I have already that stop scrolling. Okay, there's class name in here. So first, when our page is going to be rendered and it's going to be trying to render this div, it's going to see have a class name, and the class name is linked to the states. This state is going to be default of true. Okay, so it's going to check if it is false. It's not false, it's default to true. Then it's undefined class name. That means it don't have any class name, and then we'll have a normal behavior like the one we had already. But if we click in our top bar, you can see that we send that as props. So in our top bar, when the effect is gonna happen, that means when should menu open state, for example, if we click on the menu icon, it's gonna change to true. We check it right here. Then we want to set the scrolling behavior to false. That means this class name is going to be triggered. This class name, if you see, is linked to this div, which represents the whole page. This div, as it wraps all what's inside my home page, this represents the whole page. Okay, so what I do when this state changes right here, that means one of my functionalities is open, clicked. That means this is gonna be false, as we have specified right here. It's gonna be false if any of this stuff is true. Okay. So when it's false, it's gonna just trigger this class name, which is gonna set the overflow of Y to hidden. That means nothing. The overflow to hidden, and the high to 100 VH. That means the whole page. So let's try that. If I save both of my files and everything we have created, and if I open the menu, you can see that there is no scroll bar and I cannot scroll on the page. If I open the cart menu, no scroll bar as well, I cannot scroll the page, and register goes as well, and language choice or menu the same. So we have encountered that little problem and fixed it. Now we don't need those p tags, as that was just to showcase that little problem. It's just the little details, small details, and all this Serie, I want to give you the small intricate details. I could make a video that is 5 minutes or 10-minute long, and I probably just copy paste the code. I have other projects that I can literally get the whole structure, but it's not a learning process. I want to show you the mistakes that I can do and everything along the way, so you can understand fully what we're trying to achieve right here. Hopefully everything was understood, and this is gonna be the end for this video for today. In the next video, we'll be creating and styling our main menu and language choice, register menu, and the cart menu. So hopefully you appreciated this tutorial, and in the next video when I continue with creating more better and beautiful styled components of our own. And if you appreciated the video, go ahead and click on the like and subscribe so you get our content as fast as possible. We're trying our best to put 3 videos a week, and hopefully we'll keep with that same pace. So I guess we'll see you in another video.